When you're playing games, it helps you be creative with your vocab. You can play so many different games. It can grasp the student's attention. It can help you pay more attention to the words you're learning, to the how to spell the words, different things like that, and just engage the students a lot more. When playing games, there's 4 stages that Fisher mentions. It will activate previous knowledge. So when you guys are playing games, whether it be flashcards or whatever, if you're practicing a word, you're going to associate that word with previous knowledge that you've learned. So previous knowledge is something that will come up as you guys are practicing. Exploring new words, you might find new words while you're playing these games. Practicing the new words with your peers, and then testing to see if the new words have become part of everyday material or vocabulary. So while you're seeing these new words come up, you'll see them in your everyday communication with others. So the purpose of vocabulary and word games in the classroom would be to engage the students. You really want them to be involved in your classroom, and that's really important, engaging them. Prepare the students for future vocabulary. Learning vocabulary can help prepare the students for more difficult vocabulary as well. Practice the words and understand them. You want the students to really practice and understand the words before they can move on and learn, and that way they can be efficient in their reading and writing. Allow students a variety of ways to learn. In the classroom, when you're learning vocabulary, you don't want to just having them learn one way. Allowing different games allows them to have a variety of ways to learn. Students learn all differently, so it's important to provide opportunities for all different learning styles. And then last, you want to test what they may or may not know. So using vocabulary games is a really good way to test the students' knowledge, and if they are, say they're playing the same game, you want to see what words they may be missing or they're having trouble with, so that way you can grasp the understanding of what the students may need, a better understanding of knowing. Students should be encouraged to play vocabulary games in the classroom, enhancing their skill. Like I said, the teacher wants to encourage games. You don't want to just encourage sitting still in the classroom the whole day. You want to encourage these so they can be engaging with their peers and practice this. And vocabulary needs to be taught in depth, just like she said, in detail before the students can really begin reading. Therefore, the students should be practicing as much as they can. Vocabulary is so important when learning to write and read that you really want to make sure it's taught in depth and they understand the words before you move on. If they don't know the words, then they're going to have more trouble reading for the future. And you can practice this, whether that's through word games like I'm talking about now, practice cards, or simple reading. So just some modeling, just for modeling this vocabulary games, you want to make sure the teachers explain the vocabulary to the students well. You want to make sure the students practice and study their vocabulary. They can take it home, whether that be on flashcards, but you want to make sure they're practicing it every day to make sure they're remembering that so they're studying their reading. Use it in the classroom. Examples around the room can be really helpful in games to help them associate when they're playing that game. What's this word? Oh, I associate it with the ball in the bat. You know, just different things around the classroom to help them think about those, and then allow students to play those games in order to practice their vocabulary. Some examples of vocabulary games you can do is vocab bingo, vocabulary twister, which I think would be really fun in a classroom, and then Scrabble. So today I'm going to show you guys a really fun game you can play in your classroom. It's called Sight Word Guess Who. And what you're going to do is you're going to have this board right here that they're going to pass out to you. And you're going to play with a partner next to you, and between the two you're going to get one bag of cards. On your board there's a bunch of different words, and you'll have these cards. One player at a time, pick up a card, don't show your partner, and the other partner needs to ask a yes or no question. Does the word have a long O in it? Does the word start with a W? Does the word have 4 letters in it? And then you can only answer yes or no. Once the other partner figures it out, you're going to have them spell it and say the word so they can practice spelling their vocabulary, pronouncing their vocabulary, and once they do, you can place it on the word and you can try to fill your whole board. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. If you have any questions, just let me know.
If you want me to go first.
Mm-hmm. Like this.
Sure. Thank you. So you try to guess my word.
Okay, yeah.
You guys can also split them up in 2 piles. Have one partner do one pile, the other partner do the other. And you can cross the words out when you know it's not that word.
So I just asked you clues, right?
Yep. Yes or no question.
Is it an adverb? An adjective?
No.
Is it a noun?
No.
A verb? Do you do it when you're happy or do you do it when you're happy?
Kind of. Maybe.
Do you do it when you're doing a race?
Maybe.
Do you do it on a piece of paper?
No.
Do you do it if your house is dirty?
No.
Good job.
Do you do it blank and toe?
No.
All right. So as
Do
you
you
can
do
see,
it
this
with
is
luggage?
such a fun, engaging game. It's a fun, engaging game for your classroom. And once you guys fill up the board, it's really easy to just go over the words and can really help the students memorize the words, sound them out, and say them. So now we're going to move on to analogies.
So analogies are basically a comparison of 2 similar relationships, and it's going to have 4 words in the analogy. So on the first side, it's going to have 2 words that have a certain relationship. And then on the other side, there's going to be 2 more words that represent the same relationship but different words. And so basically with this format, it allows students to link information that they know to information that they do not know. And the purpose of these analogies is for critical thinking skills and making predictions in the classroom. So the format is kind of unique in an analogy. The first 2 words, like I said, they relate in a certain way, and they're going to be separated by a colon. The colon reads is to. So in the example at the bottom, I say banana is to fruit. So that's the first part of the analogy. And then the double colon separates the 2 groups of words, and that's going to read as. So banana is to fruit as. And then you're going to give the next 2 set of words, and they're going to be they're going to be separated by a colon, which represents is to. So in the below example, it can be the top example, which is just using the colons, or it can be read as banana is to fruit, as cucumber is to vegetable. So that's kind of the format of analogies. The book offers a great step-by-step teaching guide for how to teach these analogies in the classroom. So the first thing to do is to discuss the relationship of the first 2 words in the analogy. So let all the students in the classroom figure out what they think the analogy is, and then come together and find the common relationship that everyone agrees upon. And then, after the 2 words in the first set are given, give 1 word of the next set, but not the last word, and allow the students to kind of come up on their own what they think that word might be based on the relationship that they already found. And again, just going through the formatting of the analogies and the symbols and making sure that the students understand all of that is really important. And also teaching the analogies in the context of a classroom and making it just an important way to implement it into what you're actually doing is really important. And finally, doing simple analogies before you get into the more deep thinking analogies is a good way to progress into that. So some examples. There's a purpose relationship analogy, which is basically the first word is the like nose, and the purpose of a nose is to smell. So it kind of gives what the purpose of the word is. There's also synonym and antonym relationships, which are pretty self-explanatory. The first 2 words will be either a synonym or an antonym, and the second 2 words will also be that. And then finally, a place relationship. For example, knife, it goes in the kitchen, so that's the place of the knife, just like clothes belong in the closet. So those are 4 different examples, and we're going to be using those in a minute, so make sure to look at those. And then finally, the research about analogies. In an article written and the research done by Murat Cenk, he wrote the effect of analogy-based teaching on student achievement and students' views about analogies. So he tested how analogies are effective in the classroom, and he determined that they're a powerful learning tool, and that not only the students enjoy them and find them helpful, but the teachers also prefer to use them. So they're a very helpful strategy to use in the classroom, and it's a useful tool that all of us can use as well. So we are going to do a little sorting analogy activity. Everyone is going to get a slip of paper, and it's going to give you 3 words. The first 2 words are going to have that relationship like we talked about, and then the third word is going to be given, and there's going to be a blank space for you to fill in that 4th word based on the relationship that you find. So go ahead and fill that 4th word in, and once you fill it in, you can come to one of the 4 stations and determine which relationship the words share. So if you have a synonym relationship, you're going to glue it onto the sheet over here. If you have an antonym relationship, you're going to glue it here. If you have a place relationship analogy, put it here, and then the purpose analogy goes over there. So go ahead, once you're finished, and get out and do that. As we're finishing up, we're just going to go over a couple examples and make sure everyone got them. So for the antonym relationship, we have high is to low, as morning is to evening. That's a great one. We have for the synonym, we have copy is to imitate, as large is to big. That's a great one. For the place relationship analogy, we have letter is to mailbox, as sharp is to ocean. That's a great one. And then the last one is a purpose relationship. We have phone is to call, as car is to drive. So you guys did awesome with that. And I'm going to hand it back over, and we're going to talk about some technology uses.
All right, so I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about technology in the classroom. Technology in the classroom is so important, and you can use a variety of different technology apps and stuff. If your classroom has iPads in it or any type of computers, you guys could download this app. We have a couple examples here. iCard sort, and then I have a screenshot up here of word sort. And so I kind of have it here. The dock camera's having a little trouble, so I'm going to slowly pass this around. So as you can see, there's a top part where it says where trees grow and a bottom that says health of trees. And you guys can move the index cards all around, up or down, and they can organize the cards to where they go. So this is a great word for vocab for students to organize them, think about where they go, how they match. So this is just a great app you could use in your classroom to engage students in using technology.
Okay, and then to conclude, we went over 4 instructional strategies that help students gain vocabulary knowledge and concept development. And those are concept maps, word sorts, word and vocabulary games, and analogies. And then vocabulary development does lead to stronger comprehension, so that's going to ultimately just help your students as a whole. And then vocabulary knowledge and concept development are obtained through experience, concepts, and words, the relationship between vocabulary and comprehension, principles to guide vocabulary instruction, and strategies for vocabulary and concept development. And lastly, vocabulary knowledge and concept development is important for every student to gain in your classroom.
All right, does anyone have any questions? And so one question, what are some strategies that can be used to aid in vocabulary knowledge and concept development? Kayla?
Word sorts.
Word sorts, it's a good one. Anyone else? I'll mention one more. Yes.
Concept maps.
Good job. And lastly, we just have our resources. Thank you guys.